Story 1. That kids need to go outside and play or engage with their peers in order to be a good teammate and have better communication skills. 10-year-old me stopped playing and engaging, focusing entirely on studies, which resulted in me lacking a better social life and skills. Story 2. Keeping a boy at home because you're afraid of something bad happening to them is an extreme way of keeping them safe. And it's also a good way to ensure that they won't be as socially developed as they should be. Story 3. When urinating while standing, you should not drop your pants and underwear to the floor. I had to learn that one in elementary school, much to everyone's laughter. Story 4. Just because she was cold, it didn't mean I was. Edit. Thanks for the silver. First award on here, and I didn't think it would be a post complaining about how cold my mother was. Story 5. If you were the only woman in my life growing up, I needed a good example of how great women can be. My mother was and is a very bad person in a lot of ways, which made me think all women were like that. It has led to many issues in relationships and trust that I am still trying to fix today. Story 6. Give me a child until he is 7 and I will show you the man. If you want an honest adult, be truthful with your child. If you want a loving adult, show them love. If you want a calm and reflective child, be calm and reflective. Children are mirrors to the way they have been raised. They are the reflection of the adults they grew up with. Be the best version of yourself so your child can become the best version of themselves. Story 7. Never ever tease them about girls. Not even about the possibility of a girlfriend. The moment you do is the moment he knows he can't really come to you about that stuff anymore. Story 8. Please don't tease us because it's cute. You can think whatever you want to think is cute, but don't bring it up to us. Us getting embarrassed isn't funny. It's extremely embarrassing. And what may be a passing comment that you forget about in 20 minutes may permanently change a boy's personality. Story 9. My mom and her side of the family generally had negative attitudes toward men, mostly stemming from divorce. There were often judgments passed about men, such as them being general jerks, unconditional perverts, dumb, socially inept, expected to be passive in the face of disrespect, etc. There was also this expectation that males in the family were to be quick to labor and to be the workhorses, even if everyone else was visiting and such. Sometimes the younger men were expected to give up chairs to anyone who came around, even little kids. These attitudes were toxic, and thus there has been a lot of divorce in the family, resentment, and estranged sons, fathers, cousins, etc. I grew up with a lot of resentment, at least partially resulting from these things. I'm responsible for my own choices, but I wish mom didn't perpetuate these ideas because they were like cancer to the spirit. Story 10. I really wish my mom would have made me do my own laundry. It just made for a lot of awkward moments whenever she would wash stuff that I had a wet dream in or found my sock for personal activities. Story 11. Knock and wait for an answer before entering. Luckily, I never got caught engaging in inappropriate behavior, but my neighbor friend and I were playing Strip Super Monkey Ball. And since that game is difficult, we were both naked when my mom decided to barge into the room. Luckily, we pulled the blanket up over us in time, and she was none the wiser. Story 12. If you make fun of his relationships in primary school, he will not talk to you about them in high school, arguably when it's a lot more important. That goes for pretty much anything, obviously. Story 13. That I will never be as smart as my sisters, and she should just encourage me to do better instead of constantly comparing me to them. I cannot stress this enough. Be nice to your kids, especially when they become teenagers, or they will rebel hard. Story 14. That cocaine is not good for maintaining a healthy relationship with your kids, and that your kid will notice if you only show them affection when family is visiting. Story 15. Don't patronize us when we show interest in girls or boys, for that matter. If your son has a friend who is a girl, don't say, "Oh, is that your girlfriend?" When you say that, you're teaching your son that he should be ashamed of liking girls. Then, after some years pass, you're perplexed as to why he's over 20 and hasn't dated anyone. Maybe it's because that is behavior you reinforced throughout his childhood. Story 16. At around age 10, make sure there is a trash can and a box of tissues in his room. Make him empty that trash can once a week to build a habit, and keep a surplus of tissue boxes in an accessible area. Never tease him for getting new boxes. You will both be grateful for this groundwork after he starts puberty. Story 17. Maybe not to tell me. To treat girls like princesses. I was put in the friend zone and was known as the nice guy until I finally stopped caring and just started treating girls like anyone else. Joke with them, make fun from time to time, and just be yourself around them, no pedestal. Story 18. That her son will one day need to cook for himself, so maybe you should teach him how, and not complain when it takes him a few years to get good after he moves out. It's not like she wasn't teaching my sister. Just not chasing me out of the kitchen would have been an improvement. Story 19. I wish she had known to step in and stop the abuse. I'm not sure if she didn't know the extent or if she chose to ignore it, but doing something about it when I was 19 and living in another state was too little, too late. Story 20. That I need a lot of food. My mom raised me by herself and she is on the lighter side, especially for someone of her height, 145 pounds, a weight that I passed my freshman year of high school. So, she is used to not eating too much and wasn't aware of the amount of food a teenage guy of my size needs. I was 5 feet 8 inches when I turned 13. I have always been on the taller side. Story 21. My stepmother used to constantly place her own kids over me, and I utterly and totally hated her for it. It was incredibly blatant too, like I would ask for something like $20 to go on the school ski trip and get a huge lecture about how selfish, greedy, and inconsiderate I am for always asking for things when I know the family isn't doing well financially. Then my sister would walk in, ask for the exact same thing and get it, plus $50 pocket money to have fun with her friends while she was there. Just like that, right in front of me. My dad never said anything because she would go absolutely nuclear on him if he did, and he just wanted to avoid a fight. I always felt incredibly betrayed that he plainly saw and knew what was going on but never stopped it. I'm not close to any of my family anymore, and somehow it's a huge mystery why I'm such an aloof and cold person to all of them. Story 22. Don't tell him to never hit anyone because, at some point, he will probably have to defend himself. Tell him, don't throw the first punch, but throw the last. Story 23. This just applies to kids in general and is probably common knowledge. But I'll say what I think. Feel free to share your opinion if our views conflict. A child can often tell whether a smile is fake or not, and whether you are just trying to be strong for them or if you actually don't care. If you're listening to them talk and you don't care, smiling and agreeing is fine. They probably will just be happy to have someone listen to them. But if you try to feign caring, they will eventually pick up on it, and it will form a rift between you two. A child's mind can jump to some pretty wild conclusions pretty fast, depending on how they've been raised. Your love must be genuine. Not that I doubt you, but make it known. Even if you need to bug your child by saying, I love you, and I'm proud of you every day, twice daily. Do it. Get the point so far into them it's anchored into their heart. Make them know they are loved more than anyone else when they are with you. And let them know that one day, they'll find someone else they love like that too. Someone who feels just as much love for them as you do, if not more. Just be the one they can talk to. Be the one they feel safe with. Be the one they know cares about them the most in the world. Be the one who would only ever lie to them if necessary. Be the one they can fall back on if they get hurt. And be the one pushing them forward into unknown lands with all your love and support. Be their pillar of support and their fountain of knowledge till they grow up. Also, try to make sure that they hang out with both boys and girls. It's not possible to force who your child hangs out with, but encourage them to befriend as many people as possible. It'll be a huge help later in life if they have experience making friends and interacting with all genders. Story 24. Do not go back on your word. I cannot stress this enough. Once you give it, do not go back on your word because that ensures that your child will grow not to trust you again. I understand that this is something that both parents can do, but for me personally, my mom would say yes and then no to several things. This resulted in me waiting for that one elusive time when she'd say yes and running off to do what I asked her permission for before she could change her mind about it. It made for a hectic childhood, and I don't ask for permission anymore since it was subjective anyway. Also, reasons. You owe them reasons when you turn them down. You do not own them, and they do not work for you, and they are not indentured servants meant to obey you without hesitation. Not telling your kids why they can't do or have certain things and experiences sets them up to see you as an aggressor and inspires a lifetime of hate. I will never forgive my own mom for this. Stop being so protective. It's not helping. In fact, it's doing quite the opposite. I am now constantly tense before attempting anything high risk as a result of this because I doubt myself. My mother would grip my gear arm when I would drive stick with her riding shotgun if a car gave a turn signal 30 meters away. I taught her a lesson then by driving home in first gear throughout. But guess what? I still don't drive all that much because if I do have an accident tomorrow, even a minor one, she's going to bring up that one time when she was with me and prevented the accident by stopping me. It's much easier to get a cab. Also, it isn't always your kid's fault. Listen to him. He didn't get into a brawl because he's a boy and that's what boys do. I was actually afraid to get into fights when I was attacked or called names or otherwise bullied because I knew that every other kid on the block would be backed by both their parents and I'd have nothing and no one. The only exception was when my brother was attacked because my mom could not stand to see him hurt. Listen to your child. How you treat your son in the house will determine how he carries himself in the world outside. Good self-esteem is always forged at home first. Your son won't ever take himself seriously if you dismiss everything he says as childish or irrelevant because he trusts your judgment. And if you're saying that everything he says is stupid, it must be true, right? The women in my house were particularly guilty of this, and I make sure not to involve them in any major life decision anymore. Do not look down on them having a girlfriend, and do not make the topic of girls and sex a taboo. I won't even elaborate on this. If this wasn't obvious, don't become a parent, for the love of God. You're not ready. Do not bring up things that your son isn't good at any opportunity you can. I am pretty sure that half the reason that I wasn't good at math as a kid was that my mother drilled it into my brain that I wasn't. Then she'd run around asking every relative, senior, and friend she met about how I could improve. Everyone. It was humiliating because there was no one true answer. Math is a huge field. And even after I did get good at it, days before math exams were the worst. I wasn't allowed to go out or even speak to cousins who came by once a year. I remember she made me practice tally marks for half a day because it was on the syllabus. And she thought she was raising me right. Also, let him eat what he wants at times. My mother would always bring up food that I ate and wasn't cooked at home. And if I went out with a friend and didn't have any food when I came back home, she assumed that I wasn't hungry because I ate junk, and then the conflict would commence. I still feel guilty about eating out. Baggage is hard to get rid of. Let them be adults, please. I did not have a say in which school I would go to or what color my room and bathroom would be painted. Please do not give your son a pink bathroom unless they ask for it. Or what I would like for dinner, or what I wanted to do with my day, or stay out late at night. This one was huge. They still don't know I do this. Or go to the movies with my friends. Overly strict parents create rebellious children. I'd include more, but I have a sick stomach from writing this. When you abuse your kid, they don't start hating you. They start hating themselves. Story 25. Treat your kids like adults in training, not idiots or property. Don't hide how bills work. Don't hide bad news. Share your feelings. Listen. Talk. Be consistent. Never be arbitrary. Teach them to do their own laundry. Teach them to cook. Point out when they do something right. I have had 2 batches of kids 16 years apart. My oldest is 36, and my youngest just turned 18. Lessons learned from the first set apply to the second. Story 26. 9-year-olds make poor co-parents. My mom kicked my dad out and expected me to step right into his shoes and cowboy up. She would leave me in charge of the house while she worked 3 jobs and have screaming matches with me every time she came home, just like with my dad, which would then evolve into the silent treatment for days. She saw my dad in me and she hated it. She tried to remove it by removing him, and when that didn't work, she just started treating me, a 9-year-old boy, like she treated him, a 38-year-old man at the time. She even got upset with me for not eating or sleeping because I wasn't tall enough, so she blamed me. She also undermined my self-esteem on purpose but still expected me to go to school or sports or whatever and outperform everyone else. Story 27. Going shopping with you at age 14 isn't fun anymore. Technology is actually good. You can't micromanage their lives. My mom has obsessive compulsive disorder, so it's worse. Yes, it's a dangerous world out there, but you can't force them to stay indoors all weekend. Story 28. Get them to gradually adjust to adult life instead of keeping them locked up and sheltered at home until they are 18, and then throwing them out expecting them to find a job with no social skills or work experience. Do not make it obvious that you are judging their friends by their appearance.